who have we got? Who have we got next?
So in 5th place in 2020 was Renault, who will become Alpine.
Alpine.
Yeah, so it was very close between the next 3 teams. In 2020, Renault had 181 points, Racing Point BWT Mercedes 195, and McLaren Renault 202. So only sort of 20 points between 3 teams, and it did all come down to the final race. So hopefully it'll be that close again this year.
Well, I think also it's worth. It was Sakira as well that kind of swung it, because Racing Point ended up having a massive swing of points on the podium, and so did Renault, with Ocon coming second. But yeah, it was actually nice to it was nice having it come down to the final race, but then it didn't feel like it came down to the final race because it was so boring.
Yeah, and Racing Point, Sergio Perez was out, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But Renault this year, I have said 3rd.
You hang on. No, we're doing Renault.
Yeah, 3rd. Gone against my heart. I just think there were moments last year. So obviously McLaren had a great start to the year with Lando on the podium and then some other really good results throughout the year, Carlos on the podium. But I feel like the consistency with Renault was a bit more, and it seemed like they've made really big bounds on with the power unit. And then also, if they're getting on top of the aerodynamics of the car and just coming out with a fast car, they'll hopefully be in a good position at the start of the year. Esteban Ocon's had an extra year behind the wheel. He's more integrated in the team. He knows what's going to be going on. He's not a rookie last year, but he had that year out, so he's maybe lost a bit, and that'll hopefully be a bit more fine-tuned. And then they've also got this new driver. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's called Fernando Alonso.
Fernando.
And I don't know. I went with 3rd. I think all of those things are going to line up together. They're going to have a sparkly blue livery. They're going to have some very swanky hats. And they're going to come 3rd.
I used to trust you. I don't know if I do anymore.
I've even got a hat nearby.
Yeah, that's lovely. And that's got a nice 3 on it, but I don't think that's where they're going to come. I think, a big part of the reason they were in that fight last year is because, and I don't think anyone would have bet on, I know it was a crazy season and had a load of unexpected results, but would you have put Daniel Ricciardo to have not 1 but 2 podiums in the Renault at the beginning of the year? No, I don't. And I wouldn't have put Esteban Ocon to ever have a podium either. But the races that Ricciardo did it weren't crazy races. They were just races that he kept his head down. And yeah, in a straight line, they were great at certain tracks, as they have been in previous years. Alonso isn't the driver he once was.
But it's just exciting, isn't it? I think I've just got whipped up in all the hype.
You're a victim of the marketing, which he's not taking part in. I think if you put Fernando Alonso in the car in the races that Daniel Ricciardo got his podiums, I don't think he'd get the podiums.
No. The other thing that I thought of that made me put them in 3rd was the other teams that are going to be in our 3rd and 4th positions respectively have a lot of hype around them, because Racing Point has got all this investment now, is now Aston Martin. It's a big name team. McLaren is switching to Mercedes engines. They're obviously the best engines on the grid. But I don't know how much difference those changes are going to make this year. Whereas Renault is changing its name to Alpine, but that's the only difference. They'll have a new team principal because Cyril's obviously leaving. But in terms of the carryover and the consistency from year to year, I think that might help them. Where have you put Alpine?
I put them 6th. I think they come in bottom of the midfield pack.
I'm 6th.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think Ferrari are going to skip above. Yeah, basically that's all I think. I think Ferrari are going to make the big leap, and they're going to kind of remain where they are.
So sixth for Renault for you / Alpine, third for me. Fourth in 2020 was Racing Point, who will be Aston Martin in 2021.
And I have put them in fifth.
So have I.
I don't think it's going to be a massive year for them on track. I think it's great that they've got Sebastian Vettel, but I think this is going to be the really telling point for him on, is his F1 career actually coming to the end of his days, or does he have life in him still? Was it just a blip at Ferrari last year?
Yeah, they obviously had some excellent results last year, now that they've got this stable backing. So it'll be great to see how that translates over to this year, when things are staying relatively the same, and even though they got done for copying Mercedes last year, they're now allowed to carry on using that part anyway. So hopefully they will still be able to pull out these surprise results that pop them up the podium. And I think it'll be great to see how Lance is this year, because he had his pole position in Turkey, which was chef's kiss.
It was amazing. It was so good.
Yeah, and so hopefully performances like that, and Mugello, he was doing incredibly until his car burst into flames. So hopefully his performances like that are going to make him kind of lose this daddy's boy stereotype that he's only there because his dad owns the team. He's clearly a very talented driver, and I'm quite excited to see how he can learn from a world champion, because he's obviously learned quite a lot from Perez over their time together, because just look at how he was this year compared to previous years. So I think having that elder statesman in the team that can bring this advice and knowledge base will be great to see. And I am fully aboard the Aston Martin hype train. I'm so excited.
I think we're going to do a chat about Lance Stroll in the future anyway. I think we're going to probably commit a big chunk of time of an episode to talking about him
every week.
I think he's already a Lance Stroll update. I think he has lost that daddy boy stereotype already. I think he's proved that it wasn't a fluke when he got that Baku podium in his first season. I genuinely think his pole position was one of the moments of the season last year. Yeah. It was the fact that it came out of nowhere. Everyone expected Max to take that pole, and he just popped up, and everyone talks about, when it rains or you're on a rubbish track surface and have no grip like Turkey was like, then it's all about driver ability. And that's what comes out on top. And then all of a sudden, Lance Stroll's there. You know what I would really love? I would really love Lance Stroll to have a really maturing year and just come out the blocks and kick everyone's ass, push Aston Martin into third place, and go to a top team. Like, can you imagine?
Step away from the Lawrence owned team.
Yeah, could you imagine if he has like a blinding year and enters the Mercedes conversation?
That's not going to happen, though.
No, okay, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'd love to see it happen.
Yeah. It would be great. I think it's more likely that him and Seb push Aston forward, and then it's like, oh, he belongs in that seat.
Yeah.
Because Danny Rick's on for 3 years at McLaren, and we'll come on to them in a bit, but I can't see that seat coming up for Lance. No. And if you had a really good year with Aston Martin, there's not many teams you're going to want to step away from that into. Company car's just not going to be as good.
So who's up next?
Third place in 2020 was McLaren Renault. I have suggested that McLaren, not Renault, will come fourth in 2021, which was a tough choice. and I regret
Oh,
it.
because you got Alpine above them.
Yep.
Okay. I have said they're going to stay third.
Nice. Which I hope they do. I just
Easy.
think Alpine are going to have a storming year.
Bold. I still think that's bold.
Well, one of us had to say something bold. I mean, you said
Oh, yeah,
Ferrari.
you don't know who I've got winning yet.
uh, yeah, McLaren, I'm very excited about this year. Daniel Ricciardo is obviously my driver of choice, hence the three on the hat. So I'm excited to see him there. Nice to have them with the Mercedes engine. That's going to be cool to see what they do. They've obviously, like you said, had a little bit more development than other people to get that engine to fit. But they clearly had a lot of momentum last year. So it's just, hopefully they'll bring that into this year and keep building on it and building on it and get those podiums when they can, get those points when they need them, and just have a solid midfield year.
But still not as good of a year as Renault, Alpine.
No, not as good.
I think they are going to keep the standard up. I think Lando is going to continue his progress as an F1 driver like he did last year. He had a pretty good year last year. He had a good race in Abu Dhabi. He had a brilliant year in Austria. Race in Austria.
Mm-hmm.
He qualified decently. His race pace was fine.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a hopefully a bridge year. He went from being really frustrated in 2019 with feeling slow. He didn't feel like he was on Carlos's level. I think last year he felt like he was on Carlos's level. Now he's got Daniel Ricciardo coming in, who I would say is arguably maybe a little bit quicker than Carlos Sainz. If he can step into this leading role that he seems to have at McLaren now, and kind of take it by both hands, and his performances stay the same, then I think he'll keep the team where they should be, and they should be up there third, and possibly it comes in a little bit to what I think is going to happen. I think the team I have in second. I mean, this is going to completely spoil it now. I think the team that are in second are going to take a few points off the team that were in first last year, and hopefully it's going to be a bit of a closer title battle for one reason or the other.
Yeah.
And by that account, that means there's going to be more points for McLaren to eat up and hopefully close the gap a little bit on second place.
Yeah, and Zach Brown, the CEO of McLaren, has said that that's what they want to do. They just want to close that gap a little bit.
Yeah.
Not set a target of a position. They just want to be able to be that little bit closer and be that little bit racier. And I think with Daniel and Lando, they'll definitely be able to do that. You mentioned Lando wanting to step into the lead position. I think, like we mentioned with Ferrari, it's going to be interesting seeing how both those drivers figure out who is the leader, because Daniel's obviously got the experience as a driver, but Lando has the experience with McLaren.
Yeah. I think this is the move that Daniel wanted when he left Red Bull. I think.
Yeah, well, they've both said that they had talks.
Yeah.
But then he decided to go with Renault instead.
I think McLaren probably weren't at the level he was hoping they'd be at, but then they've proven the last 2 years that actually they're way above what they were in 2018.
Yeah.
If he pulled off podiums with Renault this year, I can see him getting at least one or two this season.
Yeah, and McLaren had podiums last year, so now with a slightly more developed car and the Mercedes power, I don't think it'd be a surprise if we see either of them on the podium.
I think last season was a disappointing season for them in the respect that there were a couple of races where Mercedes and Red Bull didn't finish, so Sakir and Monza. And in the same way that we were saying, when that happens, Williams want to be there to sweep up the points. I feel like McLaren should have been there to sweep up the wins.
Yeah.
I know Carlos got close with just he was one lap of winning in Italy.
Yeah, he would have had it in
And
Italy.
to be fair, the team tried to stop him going all out for it, and he was like, no, I want the win. And that was that was perfect. Daniel Ricciardo, I think, would do the same. Lando, I'm not so sure. But then in Sakir as well, to be in that fight for third place and see 3 of your competitors on the podium, I think is disappointing.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I think they're clearly a team on the mend.
Yeah.
From where they were in 2018, 2017. So I guess it's the case of getting that consistency back and being in the position to capitalize on those mistakes a lot more frequently. So in second place in 2020 was Aston Martin Red Bull Racing. In 2021, they will be known as Red Bull Racing, and I've said that they will come second again. Where have you suggested?
Correct. Yes, I've also put second.
Second as well. Yeah, it's obviously an interesting year for them. They've got Sergio Perez joining the team, who's not from the Red Bull Young Driver program, but he is a proven race winner now, and clearly able to get the most out of whatever car he's in. So hopefully he'll be there to sweep up these points that they should have been getting last year with Alex. Because they were another team where, like we said with Ferrari, where it wasn't like a one-horse race, but they didn't have 2 people fighting for that 3rd and 4th place, which they needed. So hopefully they'll have that this year, and that'll help them maybe get a few more first places and better results that they want. I don't think it'll be enough to top up, but
I think we were disappointed with Alex Albon last year. I think everyone wanted him to do really well. After seeing what happened to him in Brazil in 2019,
yes,
and then seeing the exact same thing happen in Austria in 2020, but then it just seemed to fall off a cliff for him. But then the question is, was that the pressure, or was it the car being a car that has been designed around Max Verstappen for the last 4 years?
Well, they've said that there was correlation issues, I think is the term they use, throughout the year. And if you're in your second season, having a car that the designer says has issues is clearly not a place you want to be in, because you want to be able to get used to driving an F1 car that works. So I think it was a struggle for him. And I also think knowing what happened to Pierre the year before is going to pile on the pressure and make you think, I need to perform. And then that's when you'll maybe make the mistakes. It's a shame that he's not going to be on the grid, but I think it would have been more of a shame if Checo wasn't on the grid.
Yes, absolutely. Because he showed his mettle throughout the entirety of last season. I mean, he not only did he not look like he had a job this year, he also missed 2 races with COVID.
Yeah, and he still, let me check, still finished 4th.
That's insane. That is insane.
Yeah,
so he finished 4th. He came 18th in Bahrain and had a retirement in Abu Dhabi.
So he clearly showed that he can get a lot from a car.
Apart from those 3 races, he finished in the points every single time. Which, I mean, you'd kind of expect, but Lance didn't do that.
No. And he does look like the most excited driver in the lead up to this year. Like every video that Red Bull release, he just looks so happy to be in Milton Keynes. I don't think
it's a phrase no one has ever said before.
No one's ever looked happy to be in Milton Keynes.
Yeah, I mean, we've really got to hope that Honda pull out of the bag again and deliver a great power unit that they can build on what they had this year. That the car, they're gonna. I can't see them not delivering a championship contender car. That's the thing. The question is, do we think if Sergio Perez was in the car in 2020, would the title battle for Constructors' Championship have been closer? Would he have taken points out of? I guess you were asking, would he have taken points out of Valtteri Bottas?
I think hopefully, but I don't know if it comes down to like an adaptability of driver style, because he's been at Force India Racing Point for 7 years, so he's got very used to that style of car. So I wouldn't be surprised if it takes a few races for him to get used to the Red Bull. But then hopefully he's able to pick away at the Mercedes armour.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm not. Max won 2 races last year, so I don't expect Sergio Perez to win a race, which is mad. I don't expect him to win a race next season, even though he won one last year. I don't expect that to happen. Even though I just criticised McLaren for not winning a race last year. But it could. He's in a better position for it to happen. And this is the crazy thing as well. He finished 4th in the car that finished 4th.
But
is
if you
he
look
going to
at
improve on that? Like, if he's going to be in a better car, you'd expect him to improve, right? Is he actually going to challenge Max for 3rd?
I think it's going to be close between them. And I know they've always said that they want Max to be the youngest world champion. That's realistically not going to happen this year. So if they let them race...
How many years would he have left to do that?
I'm not sure.
I'll look it up. I got it.
If that's not going to happen this year, I like to think they're going to be able to race more. Maybe
Why is this so hard to find out?
Max Verstappen age.
Every time the Wikipedia page mentions he's the youngest world champion, it never mentions how old he was.
Sebastian Vettel was 23 and 134 days old. So Max
Verstappen's already 23.
23. Oh, never mind then.
Well, this is a big fat edit that we have to... I think that, that is also kind of what you want to see. Is 2021 is the year before everything changes. Let him go hell for leather.
Yeah, I think there's a few teams where I'm like, just let him. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, and I don't think you would have got a driver like Sergio Perez. You've got to respect him. He's been in the game for a long time. You won't have got him on the grid if you're going to ask him to sit behind Max Verstappen. You can do that with Alex Albon. You can do that with Pierre Gasly. You couldn't do that with Daniel Ricciardo. You can't do that with Sergio Perez.
Yeah. So I think this is the lineup that I've said is going to be the spiciest.
Ooh.
I think the two of them are going to want to be fighting for basically the same position, and who comes out on top is going to be the question. Hopefully that doesn't lead to crashes, but it's going to be nice to see them racing. And so the first place team last year was, surprisingly, Mercedes-AMG Petronas Formula One team, who are obviously going to finish first again this year.
Yeah. It's inevitable, isn't it, really?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I've said it seems unlikely that there will be much change here, if at all.
Delicate way of putting it.
I think Lewis is going to be their man again. Valtteri's probably going to win Bahrain, and then not anything else.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. This is the only thing I can see going wrong from Mercedes. Valtteri buckles under the pressure, because he's actually under pressure this season. If he... Well, or is he, though? Because who is going to be driving for Mercedes in 2022?
Potentially neither of them.
So let's imagine a world that Lewis Hamilton signs up for 2022. Let's just say that happens. Who's going to be in the other seat?
I really don't know. Because, on the one hand, everyone wants to see George in the seat, because that would be amazing.
Big, yeah,
But
absolutely.
then, on the other hand, having George in the seat, you've got the elder statesman in Lewis that knows what he's doing, is out to win races all the time. And then you've got George that's wanting to make a name for himself, is in a world championship car, wants to win a world championship. And I don't know if you're in a team that has proven by having a solid number one and a solid number two, you're just unstoppable. If you then want to have a number one and a scrappy wants to be number one. So I don't know if you'd always want to keep that number one and number two pairing. And I don't know if other drivers on the grid would want willingly step into being a number two.
So this is the position that Toto Wolff finds himself in, isn't it? Because if Valtteri doesn't take the fight to Lewis this year, and I think he didn't have a fantastic 2020, then that's fine. Like, Mercedes won't. If George Russell didn't exist, Mercedes wouldn't care, because they're still going to win the title. Lewis is still going to be world champion. The only person that's kind of cut up about it is Valtteri Bottas. It's a shame, because we've got to the top two of this, and it's just boring, because Mercedes is going to win, and then we've started talking about like what we want to happen to Mercedes in 2022, when actually that is going to be the more interesting thing, when it really is gloves off, cards off the table. We don't know anything about the cars that are going to turn up in Australia, even if it should be Abu Dhabi, for race one in 2022, and we really do just have the drivers, and that's it. Like, we don't know. Williams could really smash it with development for this new car and find a loophole in the regulations like Braun did, and shoot their way up. We just don't know. And what I'm saying is we need to keep this going for another year, and it'll be spicy as hell.
Yeah, we're not saying it's a throwaway season, but Mercedes are going to win, and that's that. No, I think there has still been, even with them being dominant, there has still been races in the past few years where it's been really exciting. Like, we keep coming back to it, but Turkey, watching Lewis win that was an absolute masterclass. So there is still exciting moments to be had, and it's obviously great that they're proving that they can be in the sport, because it's obviously expensive, and they're proving that they can be in the sport and make it profitable for them as a business. And if they can do that, that then might encourage other people to join as well, especially with the budget coming in and things. And I think an extra team is what's needed to spice things up a bit. So to run through my top 10 for the year, I went with Haas, Williams, Alfa, Romeo, Alfa Tauri, Ferrari, Racing Point, McLaren, Alpine, Red Bull, Mercedes. And obviously Mercedes are just going to go off and be Mercedes. It'll be nice to see a little bit of variation further down. And I think that's my hope for the year. A bit more variation.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that my top 10 is completely wrong. I hope it's a lot more mixed up than it actually is. So I've gone Haas, Williams, Alfa Romeo, Alfa Tauri, Alpine, Aston Martin, Ferrari, McLaren, Red Bull, Mercedes.
It's quite nice that your spiciest take is Ferrari and my spiciest take is Alpine. But yeah, we will be back. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Bye.